Hey guys, Rock here with another Warplanes video again. This time we'll be doing a quick video guide review of the Breda Ba.27 Metallico, the Tier 3 Chinese premium fighter introduced in patch 1.5. This was actually an Italian design and is in fact the first Italian-made plane in the game. Historically, it's a somewhat obscure 1930s monoplane design back from when the biplane was the norm for military fighters. It was originally intended for the Italian Regia Aeronautica, the Italian Air Force. The prototype was rejected outright as just being a terrible plane. A revised prototype with an all-sheet metal skin named Metallico was only slightly more favorably received and was still rejected by the Italians, so it was put up on offer for export. There was a nationalist Chinese delegation looking for available, ready-to-manufacture designs who ordered 18 of them, only 11 of which were actually delivered. There is little historical mention of them thereafter. It's likely that a shortage of spares and other logistics and maintenance difficulties kept them from being really used very much. There was one mention of a flight of Japanese planes mistaking them for A5Ms at a distance and allowed them to close, after which the Ba.27s were fairly effective. In-game, it kind of has meh speed and altitude, it has meh maneuverability, and despite having good hit points on paper, it's relatively fragile. It has good but not great firepower with the two 12.7mm or 50 cals at Tier 3. They have about a 630 meter maximum range, about 430 effective range. On paper, the damage per second is actually higher than the Key 43-1C, but it just really doesn't feel that way. For some reason, it's classed as a Tier 3 gun for no apparent reason, since the muzzle velocity is basically about 98% of the same 12.7mm guns on the Key 43. To add to this plane's problems, I find Tier 3 very frustrating to play these days. I think it's one area where wargaming has really kind of failed to manage the new player experience. With the population being what it is, more often than not, you're going to get a Tier 3-4 match where you're outclassed, with the occasional Tier 3 only match where it's going to be short teamed of 5 or 6, and Tier 2-3 almost never. I think that's only happened to me twice in all the time I've had this. As far as loadout for modules, it's a premium plane, so you can't do much. I would recommend you put a sight on it. I hadn't bothered just because I hadn't been that impressed with this plane, to be honest. For ammunition, I do recommend you carry API. It's it gives you some extra punch and a chance to set somebody on fire. If you don't want to spend for API, you can put incendiary or AP. You really shouldn't be running standard on this plane. As long as you do some damage, it'll pay for itself. For consumables, I do recommend pneumatic restarter and fire extinguisher always. For my other one on this, I am running gas. But to be honest, it just depends on how much you're willing to spend and your playstyle. So enough screwing around, let's see some fights here. So here we are on El Khalouf with a Tier 3-4 match, which happens more often than not, I've found, in Tier 3 these days, with the population being is what it is. As far as a general guide for tactics, I don't really have much smart to say. It's just a very average plane with no particular advantages to play to. General conservative tactics are in order. Just gain altitude at kickoff, stick with the team, don't be in front, work from high to low, and just pick off loners and stragglers if you can find them. Kill the weakest planes first. It does have pretty good firepower, or relatively good firepower at least, so it's good at that. Never ever ever attack ground targets unless you're absolutely forced to by supremacy or you just have no other targets around. Your guns just can't do much to ground targets and you'll get shredded by AA. Here we have this low flyer here. Just come in, we're going to try and see if we can pick him off first. Notice I am more maneuverable than the Bristol 146 at Tier 4, which is nice. That is one advantage you will have over Tier 4, is which you will see often if you're playing this plane, unfortunately. And notice when I can make the guns connect, it does okay damage, but with only 2 of them and a relatively slow rate of fire, it's not super easy either. We crashed, so I finished off the first kill, get credit for it, click around, here we go, another customer. Skua, he's not going to be able to maneuver on me at all, and I'm faster than him too. I do have the guns overheating there because I was engaging that previous target for so long. But really, generally, the guns do have a pretty nice long overheat time. So, you know, don't be afraid to lean on the button when it's going to do you some good. And now I've got no targets down here around with me, so let's see what I can do. Moving up to the northwest there, and I'm not going to make it in time.
Last enemy aircraft.
And there we go. Victory is ours. Here we are on Pacific Ocean this time in another 3-4 match, which is regrettably common for this plane. Notice as I'm going through the lineup here, I don't really have much of an advantage over too many planes. I've got firepower advantage over some, maneuverability on a few, but really generally there's just nothing I can really exploit about it, and I'm outclassed by a lot of planes in a lot of respect. And we'll go ahead and fast forward through the boring parts here. Okay, here we go. Now we've got contact. Got a couple below us. Notice how I'm using my teammates here and I'm not out there in front. One down, this 109B looks like a good candidate. If I can take a tier 4 plane out of the fight, that would be helpful. Not the best marksmanship by me there, sorry about that. But at least he's dead. Look for the next plane, got an A6M up high, I should be able to have an advantage on him up here. Here we go.
First enemy destroyed.
Notice I'm working from the top to bottom here, taking the higher altitude planes first.
Target hit.
Just so they can't dive on me if nothing else. The poor roll rate of this plane really makes it tough to stick on somebody's tail sometimes.
Target hit.
More bad marksmanship there, sorry. And got him.
Second enemy destroyed.
One more target down below us there. And will I get it? Lining up the shot.
Target hit.
And teammates got him. Nice. And we'll go ahead and fast forward through this part again here. So here we are now with our last two targets. 110B and an FW-57 should be pretty easy, especially considering how many of us there are. 110B is a little closer. I'm going to go for him first.
Target hit. Last enemy aircraft.
User disconnected from your channel.
And nice. I get rammed from behind by a friendly in a dogfight. Ah, well. Fortunately, we win this one at least, and I got some good damage in, so not all bad. And here we are now on Winter War, the last battle we'll do for this video. And I just like this map. I think it's very pretty, I think it's very attractive, and I just kind of like how your tracers and things really stand out and glow against the background. Not to mention that the visuals for the Aurora Borealis are, I think, are pretty nice. So here we are again, gain altitude, move to the main effort of your team, stay with teammates. Notice this is a tier 2-3 match, although I only have one tier 2 on each side. AO-192 might have a chance that T-20, poor P-223 over there, there's just not much he's going to be able to do. I don't quite like how we are going over the enemy side and over their AA right into their main effort, so this is not developing well so far. Just gonna have to get in here and see what we can accomplish. And again, I'm looking for loners and stragglers, people I can pick off, people I have an advantage on. And there's a Bristol 133. He looks like a good customer, except I'm taking fire from the side, so I have to maneuver on it to dodge. I'm going to stick with this AR-80 for a moment. Looping again. Now I can finally get some shots in. And I can finish him, and so I'm turning back toward the friendly side. I really don't want to get any further to the northwest than I am already because the enemy AA is there. I'm a little bit frustrated that some of my teammates are up there now, but it is what it is. But at least I'm going to finish off this guy too. 2 kills. And I've got another one on my tail. I'm going to flip on him. That seems to be a thing about this plane too. It's that you've got a target on your back the whole time. You're marked as an easy target, so you tend to attract a lot of fire, it seems like. 3 kills. One more down here all by himself. I'm going to take this FW. And again, the guns on this thing are pretty decent. They're not great, but they're decent. I mean, if it's 250 cals at tier 3, it's not too bad. Let's see, we're up to 4 kills now. And there's our poor P-23. Nice snack. Sorry, P-23. At least we got an ace. 5 kills. And pick and choose here. Bristol's closer, so I'm going to go for him first. 6. I don't love how the guy gives up and counting and just says, another enemy destroyed. Always warms my heart. So that's 7. And again, this isn't a great plane. I'm just kind of managing to put myself in the right place at the right time where I can have a little momentary local advantage to be able to get something done. Last enemy alive, I almost crashed there. I had to be careful not to hit the surface. And then be careful not to hit my teammate there. There we go, 8 kills, not too shabby. And another victory. I'll take it. So there we have it. It's not a bad plane, but it's certainly not a good plane either. It's fairly average at most things, which isn't bad, but it also means it doesn't do anything in particular especially well. It has no real advantages to exploit and doesn't match any of the typical playstyles already in the game. There's just really no shining characteristic about it. I found it to be effective only when flighted, which you could say for most planes, so it's not saying much. It's an okay credit earner for tier 3, but you can't use it to train pilots for other aircraft because there's still no Chinese line in the game right now. And some people have been saying that it makes very little sense to have Chinese planes in the game right now for this reason. But the reality is that these vehicles are made to appeal to Asian markets, and kind of once they have them drawn, built, and balanced, they might as well sell them to us here too. That's why we're seeing them. And heck, World of Tanks had the Type 59 for years before they had the French, British, or Japanese tank lines in the game, if that helps give you any idea on what their thinking is on this. So overall, I don't recommend buying this one right now unless you really, really like the novelty of having the only Italian-made plane in the game right now. Other than that, there's just not much nice to say about the plane, unfortunately. So, thanks for watching, guys. Good hunting. See you next time.